As big as yours.
100%.
Awesome. Awesome. So you guys obviously saw Trevor's message. Yes, Snapshot is out. You guys did great building this week. I want to hear from some of you. Hey mom, can you do me a favor and post the builders link? Heidi was just saying she couldn't find it. For the builders call.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
It's in the group chat, Misty.
Oh, okay. You don't. I figured it was. Thanks. Well, Netta, I'm double computering. I thought this was going to be easier, but like, whoa. So I want to hear from some of you. Last week we had that hard conversation, right? Of am I building to burnout or am I building well? And I want to hear, did any of you implement something this week? I know Anna and I had some direct conversations. But I'd love to hear what changed for you, what you decided to put either in your schedule, in your calendar, or how you were having conversations. Who wants to share? I'll call you out.
Well, I will.
Right on up, Miss Walnetto.
I just kind of refined my availability, so that, recruiting wasn't all willy-nilly all over the place, I also had an amazing call with a client that was looking for coverage for his dad. And I covered his dad and then, asked the question about, do you know anybody who, and he's like, well, me and my husband, so they both, I says, well, let me send over some videos. And they're like, no, you don't need to send over videos. We've been looking at something like this, so we really want to do it. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to send you an invite to Excel. They both signed up for Excel. And I had a Zoom call with them both yesterday. And they're both excited and ready to go. So that was kind of surprising. I have had a table recruit before that was amazing as well. Not here anymore, but it was fun to do, but just refining my schedule.
So you felt more of that balance this week of like, now I can focus on my business and I have a time for calls, and you think you can already see how that made a huge difference.
Oh, totally. Because I've produced this week, I've recruited this week, and I've done some, DFL stuff as well. So I feel like my balance is starting to, and my time management was Trevor. My time management is getting better.
I literally messaged him earlier this week. I feel like we're all having that reflection of like, am I managing my time well? Because even I reached out to him this week and I said, you know what I really need your help with? I said, I need you to sit down with me and talk about my time management skills. So I love that. I love that you put that into place immediately. And like you said, you were busy this week helping families, talking to recruits, and getting stuff done. So great job. I'd love to hear it. Who else wants to share how their week was better? Or maybe you didn't put something into place and you realized this week you should have.
I think the time management is huge for us too, because Trevor and I had the talk. Well, Trevor had the talk with me several times about my dial times. I was calling during the day because the kids get home in the afternoon and I don't want to be on the phone. Well, I was getting a very low
contact ratio.
Right. And so I was like, okay. And so from Friday night, Saturday, and Monday, between those 3 days, I had booked for Friday afternoon, and I didn't call on the weekends. So this past week I did Friday night, Saturday, and then Monday night, and I booked like over 10 appointments just on those 3 times. Now we booked like 15 this week, but I've only got an answer from like 3 because people are rescheduling and all that stuff. And there's several commitments that can't do it for whatever reason. And anyways, but yeah, time management's huge. Time management's huge.
Yeah. And our new recruiter started this week. And it's been so nice, but she's done great. And I would do it myself, and I still am. Like, I'm doing some today, so she's not doing all of it. But just with the kids always needing it's just, yeah, but that we're
But I
have a
get-
good flow going with her doing some and then Keith doing some and then me helping him on the administrative side. So it's going really well.
Yay, I love it. I remember back when Allison like kind of first started with us, and if you guys have been around for a little while, you kind of see as agencies grow, everybody finds that niche that they're good at, right? Like for example, Allison was our recruiter, but even in the beginning, we were telling her, we're going to train you up to be me because we're going to multiply, we're going to duplicate this, we're going to duplicate ourselves. And so we're going to have to teach others to recruit. And then we're like, you're actually going to become me because you're going to have to learn the administrative side. This was before Keith got into it. And then, of course, when he did, it was kind of like, all right, now your job is to do what I'm doing. And it wasn't hard, right, Allison? It was just like with Keith learning to produce. It's one step at a time, right? With recruiting or building, or now you guys are switching into managing, right? A team, mentoring agents, right? So that's awesome. I love to hear that. Now that Mr. Tipton is on our call, let's go ahead and shout out the whole team, but especially our leader, Mr. Tipton, because we did get snapshot. If you guys didn't see the message, we earned our first month of not just key leader, but AO, and we are super proud of the whole team. Great
Good job,
job.
everybody.
Yay.
Well, it's a team thing, right? Like I'm way more excited like watching you guys like build and hire and get people in. That's what excites me, right? Like I like watching like others win. Like it's nothing's fun to do it alone, right? Like
So for the ones that were
all
early
right,
and on time,
boot well. All right,
Blade,
boot well.
the
I'm
jungle.
calling him boot well today. I'm
You
gonna go
know, to
full
be
Summers and
totally
call him
honest,
boot.
to be totally honest, it's easier to say boot well than it is bout well because people think you say, if you do it too fast, they think you say something else. So I may start calling myself boot well to my clients.
There's literally a U in there. So but yeah, like no man, just shout out to everybody. Like our team is going great. I'm super excited and yeah, just hopefully we can keep the momentum going. I want to talk a little bit about like we'll talk today. I want to talk about like getting our our ready rights converted to new writers, right? Like it's something we're seeing a disconnect on, and I want to talk about that a little bit more. Of we're that first application we're taking out, we're not right. You're not making any money on a $10 Moo application, right? You can barely buy a cup of coffee with with the commission, but I mean, the policy is paying for itself essentially, right? You're getting what $6 a month out of the 10, right? It's costing you $4. But it's to get people contracted right away with Moo. So if they do set an appointment, the whole reason we do that is so if they, especially that first week, if they get an appointment set and they don't have all their writing numbers yet, they're on at Moo. And we can at least, right? Moo has everything, right? Worst case, we can write a Moo policy, right? Like we can get them, on there. And, like, so I want to talk about that today. So, yeah, so that's what's on my, list today to want to discuss. But yeah. I'm super excited. But yeah, so for those that are new, you're like, what snapshot? I don't know what snapshot means, right? So Symmetry, right? We run Saturday at 12:01 a.m. to Friday at midnight. That's like when you see the APV numbers, it's based on that when it uploads into Opt. Okay. However, the carriers don't care. They work on calendar months. So they work from the first day of the place business is from the first day of that month to the last day of that month, right? And it if it places paid commission on there, so they go pull the reports and we go, we're able to go look at that stuff and say, okay, hey, what was placed, what was not placed, are we, placing a bunch of what we're writing, those kind of things. So we can, we're tracking of, hey, you put in $50,000 worth of apps, but you sold, 500, you only placed $500. That's right. We got a disconnect there. What's going on, right? Or, like, hey, because what's going to happen is each month as you guys build your pipeline, it's going to, you'll see like, hey, I had APV this month, but it doesn't place till June, right? So, right, but then we're able to see it. I'll go over it with everybody. So that way you can double check your numbers and you know, we can make sure we're, you know, we're all on the same page there. But this is what counts for our promotions. So generally it comes around here like between like the 8th and the 10th of the month. So
Yeah, so this would just be a good time that I wanted to refer back to Sarah Reineke's call earlier this week for those of you that were on, right? She talked about submitting so much in business, but it doesn't do any good if that business isn't placing. And we're going to talk about that today with the same deal with recruiting, right? We can recruit and hire a bunch of people, but if they don't become writers, are you actually growing an agency? So I think Trevor and Sarah actually teed me up perfectly. I started prepping for this call yesterday, and turns out today we're talking about fishing. So Monday we talked about hunting and farming. Today we're talking about fishing. And, you know, the saying goes, it's an old Chinese proverb. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime, right? So we're going to talk about that today. I do want to go over some numbers with you guys, and we're going to be talking about, if I was teaching somebody to fish, what were the things that you would need to, like if I had a fishing mentor, right? And you're teaching somebody, what would you need to think about? Well, where are you going, right? Where are you going to fish? If you're going to the woods to fish, you're probably not going to catch anything, right? You got to go to the right place. What are you bringing? Are you bringing along the tools, the bait that the fish are actually attracted to? And then how long are you staying, right? If you cast your line a couple of times and you don't catch anything and you give up, did you really go fishing? Okay, so those are the things that we're talking about today. And while I wanted to put that in front of you, the reason I did that is because I'm going to be screen sharing lots of resources. So I want you guys to be ready to kind of take notes. That's very much so the structure, the main points of our call. But before we get into that, who wants to see some leaderboards? I'll be honest, I'm traveling this week, so I'm strictly screen sharing. I did not build a nice, pretty presentation. I know I'm a slacker.
Funny.
One other thing I want to update you guys on as well while I'm pulling this up. Maricel is in the process. I know there was some chatter yesterday about the handbooks, the links. So we're going to talk about those updates following numbers as well. But just be aware over the next couple of days, Maricel's finishing up those updates for us. Make sure that you guys have saved the link to the handbook. If you've downloaded it, just like in the automations, you're not going to see all these nice updates. If you share that PDF download with your downline, they're not going to get the real-time info. And also some exciting things for you managers and builders. We are adding you into our slides and in the handbook. So your agents will be able to see your picture there that you're building out your team and your agency. And also there will be a link to your Calendly so they can directly get in contact with you, even those newbies that are still getting into the system. There's an easy way as soon as they get plugged in to go ahead and get them in contact with you. So with no further ado, if my screen, it says I'm sharing. I'm not sharing. There we are. So let's talk about some of these numbers. And I just want to ask real quick, because I know me and Allison were messaging last night. So are these scheduled interviews just yours, or are these yours and Keith combined?
So that's why it's confused. So the 36 is like first interviews.
Okay.
So like with the recruiter, and then 23 of those showed up. Does that make sense? But then
Yes,
Keith
to
didn't
her
talk
interviews.
Huh?
For the first interview with your
Yes.
recruiter or with you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if they met with, you know, you and you hired them, or if they met with Keith and you hired them, then those are your numbers.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's very confusing. I'm sorry.
That's
yeah,
okay.
we
I know
need to, that needs to be better. Like you want to track. So here's the deal. Like I'm going to interrupt here. It needs to, like, just for your own sake, because you want to see show rates, you need to track first interview, scheduled, right? Interviewed, second interview, scheduled interview, tracking those, because you want to make sure, you want to see like, oh, hey, are we having a bunch of people no show? Like, that's how you find the pain points, right? This is how you find like, oh, hey, there's a disconnect there, right?
Right.
Like how many, how many people are we hiring versus, what we're doing? Because, right, that looks like, when I look at that, it looks like I interviewed 20 people this week, which I didn't. I
Mhm.
didn't interview 19 people this week. So that number is skewed, right? So we need
Yeah.
to adjust this so it shows better.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I was having a hard time last night. I was like, this doesn't look the way it is. Like I
Yeah,
couldn't.
I don't
Yeah, so
understand.
let's all talk through this while we're on here right now. So I know some of you are doing 2-part interviews and some of you are doing one and done hires, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the call as far as what that would look like. But for the sake of this tracking method, if you are doing first or second interviews, whatever amount of scheduled interviews, right? So if you put a feeler out there with your Calendly link, or you're in the bullpen and you're getting candidates from that are applying to the Tipton agency jobs, whatever it might be, and they pop up on your calendar, that means they are scheduled interviews. They scheduled with you. Now, interviews completed, that means they actually showed up and had an interview with you, right? So then I can look at the difference between, let's say, if I had 20 interviews scheduled and 15 interviews completed, then 5 of them I know didn't show up or rescheduled. Okay. And then obviously the hired and such is straightforward. Like Trevor was saying, where we look at the numbers, I will always say this, the numbers tell a story, right? So if you're seeing a great lag in like, how are they getting so many interviews scheduled and showing up, but I'm not, then maybe there's something in your hiring process, right? And just in your scheduling process, like we talked about last week. Do you have your Calendly set up? Is your picture on there? Do you have the videos? Do you have the reminders? Things like that. So same thing goes with if you're having those interviews, but they're not translating into hires. That could be a matter of, okay, maybe you're not providing them the information before the call, so they don't know what they're applying to. And really, that interview should have already been set up where they know they have some questions and they want to know who they're working with. But most of those people should be translating to hires, right? And then a lot of times they're on hold, or hey, this is going to be more financially or whatever that I'm willing to get into. Obviously, that does happen. So just for the sake of this tracking sheet, and if you guys want, I will share the interview tracking sheet that we use as well. And we are still in the process of getting, everyone up to speed. So thank you for your patience and grace with us. But this sheet specifically is for scheduled interviews. So if you're having a second interview with somebody and that's the way that you're doing it, or for example, Keith and Allison, if you're doing scheduled interviews, this is just the interviews, because like Allison, I told you last night, if they're talking with you or your recruiter, then they have to go through to you to get to Keith. It's not like Keith's just doing his own interviews on top of. So you don't need to add those numbers. It's the same candidates. Think of these as number of candidates. This number of candidates popped up on my calendar. This number of candidates showed up for their interview. Okay. And I will get Paula to help me share the interview tracking sheet. And that shows interviews scheduled, no show, rescheduled, who was interviewed for a second time, who was moved to the next week. So anything down to where they would have been in your pipeline, you can track there as well. So one thing that I want to hit on while we're talking about some leaderboards and kind of like rate of return, right? Conversion rate. Obviously, Keith and Allison, you guys got a new recruiter. You guys are getting built your system and getting training done. You guys are doing really well, right, with translating your interviews into interviews completed. So this tells me that you guys went back and I checked. I'm not going to lie to you, right? I checked. I clicked on your Calendly links. I spied a little bit, made sure that you guys set that up. And I'm glad to see that you guys are translating not just into interviews showing up, but here we are seeing the hires coming through, right? 5 hires, Anna. We've got 5 total with a hold for Sandra. Same thing here with Heidi. So I want to know with you guys, I know there's some of you I've had direct conversations with, right? And I've listened to the way that you're posturing yourselves in questions and conversations with your candidate. Does anybody have anything they want to share? Or I will put you on maybe a hot seat for a second about the conversations that you're having from before when you're interviewing and hiring versus now you're structuring your time, your business, and you're promoting the opportunity to where you're mentoring. Nobody wants to pop off the mic. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call on Miss Anna. She had a little bit of a heads up that I was going to call on her at some point because we did talk actually very specifically Thursday, and I'm sharing this because I want you guys to do the same. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a moment. But Anna and I had a discussion, and she was telling me, you know, I'm mentoring these people, and she made a comment. You know, this is what I told my agent that, you know, he said that he was going to sign up for Excel, you know, by the end of the week. And I repeated that back to him, and I told him, okay, I'm expecting this. And if I, you know, if I don't see that, I'll go ahead and follow up with you. And I kind of had to put the brakes on her. And I was like, hold on just a second. I was like, we might need to talk for a minute about how you're actually having these conversations, right? So, Anna, I want you to go ahead and share just like, obviously we had a conversation, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. You made some adjustments, and then talk about what you saw after that and how you felt.
Yeah, so that's just like the manager in me, I guess, from 25 years of managing. And even though in my head I know I'm not hiring, like those words are not even in my brain, still you showed me by talking to me that my tonality and some of the words I'm saying made it seem like corporate, boss, that sort of thing. So I took that in, and I changed my posture. And so yesterday I had four or five interviews, and every single interview I just changed my tonality. I changed what I said. So you had said to me, Anna, look at how you talk to your clients when you're in an appointment. And you said, you know, you're finding out what they want, you finding out what they need. It's all about them. And so I took that and I put that in my conversations yesterday. And I just had conversations with them. And I started out with, you know, what are you looking for? Why did you choose to, you know, what do you want? Why this industry? You know, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to go? I asked questions like, what do you want your mentor to look like? Like, what do you want from a mentor? Um, and it was all about them. And what I noticed was it dropped their guard really fast, because you can say, this is a meet and greet, this is a casual conversation. Like I always say that to them. But when you start asking them questions and you're really getting to know them, you can literally hear the air go out of them, like, oh, okay, yeah, I can be myself. And what I found was now the questions that they're asking me are different. So before it was, what do the leads look like? How much is everything? How much is this? It was all about money, really, right? But now they're literally asking me, well, what does the platform look like? Is it easy? What does your team look like? And there was one that hit me so hard. And it was, she said to me, why do you do what you do? What do you love about your job? And I had to sit there and I thought, oh my God, thank you for asking me that, because it brought back to me what I love about this and why I'm doing this. And it was like, wow, thank you for asking me that. So even the questions are different, and they're deeper, and I'm getting more out of them as well. So I had one guy yesterday say, sign me up. If your team is like this, what is the culture like? What is your team like? And I said, thank you for asking me that, because I could talk about my team all day long. I said, but I can tell you everything, but unless you're actually in it, It doesn't matter. And I will tell you this, and I'll let this go. Yesterday, I got feedback from every single person that I put into our team. They texted me because they laughed at me when I said, I'm going to put you in our teams. Do you have Telegram? I'm going to put you in our teams. After, of course, they told me that they wanted to join. And I said, are you ready to partner with me? Is this what you want to do? And if they say yes, I use the word partner with me now, not anything else, because it sounded bossy. So anyways, and I said, well, I'm going to put you on our teams, and they're just going to love on you and support you. And they laughed at me. But when our team was like, welcome, we're so happy to have you. Oh my gosh. And then I told them, scroll up in that chat, see how we talk to each other. Feel free to get on a huddle, right? Stuff like that. Every single one of them messaged me and said, oh my God, you were right. This is the culture. This is the kind of team I want to be on. And it made them actually more excited to even get started. So I really, really do appreciate you taking the time with me and doing that, because that really opened up the floodgates for me.
That's
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you reflecting on our call. And even when you called me yesterday, right? And you're like, I did what you said, and it's completely different now. And I wanted her to share this, and I'm glad you brought up the sales presentation. One of the things that made me a good recruiter was that I actually invested when I was in the field in the Finny Up coaching, right? Personal coaching. Now you guys have Trevor's coaching. Gosh, I just wish that was there when I started. But I took some of the personal development and I use that in all of my life, right? In all of our conversations. And when you can make the relation between what you've already learned in your sales setting and just put that into recruiting, it's no different, right? So from the beginning of your sales appointment, you're finding out their why. And then you're constantly coming back to that why, and you're figuring out what's going to keep them from achieving that, whether it be financial reasons, whatever that case might be, because you want to overcome that right in the beginning of that presentation. So, after Anna and I had that conversation, I said, just treat it like a sales presentation, but you're not having to sell anything, just like we don't have to sell the products. We just have to figure out where the lack or the need is. So I challenge you guys to, you guys have done a great job. I saw a lot of people update their schedules, time management, update their Calendly, make sure that their reminders are set up. So this week's challenge, I want to challenge you to really reflect on how you're having these conversations. Because just like Anna said, right, we can be telling ourselves we're not hiring, but it will still sound like I said to Anna, I said, we tell everybody that they don't have a boss here, but by you setting these expectations for them, that just makes it sound and feel like they have a boss. So what it would look like on the flip side, the advice that I gave her was let them set the expectations, and then you put it back in front of them. That's the way that Trevor coaches all of us, right? Okay. So when you and I first talked, you told me that you wanted to fire your boss. You wanted to be available and home more. And Anna did a great job yesterday. She told me, she asked, are you willing to be challenged? Are you willing to work with a mentor that will push you to achieve those expectations that you set for yourself? Are you willing to be coachable, right? These are all those questions that Trevor gave us. So in the same, when they're telling you what they want out of this position or where they want to be in 6 months or a year from now, that is what you need to understand. Just like in a client's appointment, you're holding on to that why, okay? And then what's going to keep you from achieving that? So yes, thank you very much, Anna, for sharing that. And I want to let you guys know, if you are thinking, I don't know if I'm using the right tone, I don't know if I'm using the right words, maybe I just need to have a quick conversation with Misty, hop on the phone with me. I am here just like Trevor is your mentor, and you have different mentors as far as your direct upline. I'm your mentor for building, right? So if you guys want to come to me and you say, hey, I want to know how I can make this better, or hey, I feel like I'm lacking here, do not hesitate, please. I know I'm not on all the office hours. I've got a little girl and a business I'm helping my husband with, but I'm very much so present. I love to help you guys. And just like Trevor said, this is why I love this business, because I love to see not just what I can gain financially, not just what I can gain in my time and freedom. I love to see your guys' lives change. I love, just like Sarah said, like you can smell growth on people, right? And so I'm just very proud, and I really hope that you guys continue to work on this craft, right? We just put month 1 behind us and we hit our AO month. Like what is to come for this team? So I'm very excited, and I'm very pumped up about the fact that these systems are coming together so seamlessly, and you guys are going to be able to apply it right to your business. You don't have to rebuild the system, right? So let's talk about some of those updates next. Let's switch over to the handbook. Trevor, I'm going to pull you in on this because we've got a couple of updates of like how we're going to put agents through school right off the bat, right? So we are making some updates to the handbook. Like I said, Maricel is working hard on that. We're going to have you guys listed as hiring managers. Another little change that you'll see is what we're going to do is, instead of having people wait until they get their license to apply, you know, for cemetery and get into the summer site, we're going to take them from when they pass their exam, right? They can go ahead and get started getting into things, like looking back at what is it that I just learned in this course? What is it that I'm about to get into? Okay. So some updates there. Trevor, anything that I'm forgetting specifically as far as updates, handbooks?
No, I can show, because I want to talk about Bittrex too.
All righty.
So let me pull this up. Share. All right. So yeah, so there's going to be a page here for that. But let's talk about, right? So, right, once you pass your test, right? We talk about the AML, what they're going to get is, hey, you can get access to school, right? They can't get it until they pass their exam, right? Once they do, right, they can jump in and they can go over to school, and essentially what it's going to say in the handbook is, you know, start your, you know, change the name. Mars, I don't want that to say agent building. Please take the, right, like the building part of that off. I don't want it to confuse everyone. So, right, like this walks them through like just basic stuff, right? Like, hey, like what is life insurance, right? Like just some basic things, like what is a final expense policy? What's a term life policy? What's a whole life policy, right? Like just basic stuff to start training them, right? What's mortgage protection? Things they're going to have to start doing, right? So we're going to start walking them through, and then, hey, they can do this. By the way, just so you know, like I know what everybody clicks in school. So like I know if you guys have like gone through and looked at any of this stuff, just so you're aware, because when you go through it, right, when you do it, you can go, oh, hey, I got that done and I completed it, right? So like you can see, like I have admin backend access, right? So when they're going through, but it's like, hey, qualifying leads, right? Like you know, things we're going to do, like, right, like things we're going to be working on with them, right? Like here's stuff you can start working on like each week, right? Like welcome to life insurance, right? Like how do you qualify, right? Like things you can start doing each week to like get better, so they don't think like you're not going to learn prospecting, qualifying, building rapport, presenting. You're not going to learn all that in 3 days, right? Like it's just, you know, things you can do to, you know, go through the process. We have a bunch of the videos in here on different things we've done, right? But they can go in, they can also go back and start watching our team huddles, right? But is this the one? Yeah, I'll get that moved. So, right, but as they go through, they're going to get access to that, okay? But here's a big thing, right? I want to talk about, I need to get over to this first, all right? So getting somebody approved and having them become a writer, right? We're kind of talking about is two different things. We're not taking out the app again to like, you're not, it's not for making money, right? Like you're putting this in place, you can replace it later, right? It's to get you on with Moo, it's to teach you what a client goes through. So when we do start live dialing, it's there. So in the newly appointed agent, okay, this is going to be the process we're putting in place going forward. To get into live mentor training and registered for the summer site, you have to have done your Sure LC, okay? And you have to have taken the app out on yourself. If you've not done those two things and I see them moved over, they will get moved back. All right. I won't let them in. Right. And so, because we want these steps to follow. So, because why? Because we start dialing on Wednesday, right? And we have new agents dialing Wednesday. You guys all remember what it was like, right? Like when it was there, what they're doing. So, right. So, immediate, right? Email they get. Hey, congrats, you're a Symmetry agent, right? You're getting this here, right? Like taking out your first app, right? This is how you can get registered for live mentor training. You're not getting registered for training until we do this. All right. So again, log into Opt, go to Sure LC, right? This is why we have that new onboarding meeting, because we want to make sure they're doing that, right? Once they do that, hey, you can go into, right? Now, this gives you the links. Register for live mentor training, register for the summer site. Okay. Right. This is right. Again, if you haven't taken this out, and I added this in for some reason, you move them and they haven't done this yet, I added it again. Right. We want them getting in the system, converting to new writers, understanding that, hey, if they get going right away, we can get them going with Mutual. Okay. But this takes them to that registration. So we know each week who's coming to, right. And go from there. Okay. So when they click this, right. Maybe if I click it. The heck. All right. So do it. Why is my mouse doing that? So when they click on this, there we go. Good grief. When they click on that, it will take them to the registration page. Hey, this is the Monday I'm starting on, right? When they go into here, we're making sure everybody's names are listed on, right, the summer site. Okay. So as they go through, it's there. That's what they're doing. Then it's, hey, they took out their application, right? Great job, right? Here are your next action items, right? Like, here's what you do. And then it's, now it's like, okay, hey, schedule game plan meeting, do their first lead order, first appointment, right? Like now we're moving them in the process, right? Think about it, what it was like for all of us to onboard and all the things we've done. We're constantly going to be, right? Massive action, constant correction, right? Like, okay, here it is. And if we see, like, keep track, right? If you're seeing an agent that's saying, like, you feel like a certain spot they keep getting stuck in, like you feel like you're getting the same question a lot, right? Things like in the handbook of, where is it? I don't know if she has right here, right? We have in there, hey, register for live mentor training, register for the summer site. So they're going to say, hey, here's this page in the handbook. Here it's there. If they try to go in there first and register, we won't approve them, right? Like they're not getting in, but we've added that in there. And then, hey, you do Opt, you do Sure LC. So yeah, this has got to get, hey, Mars, if you're taking notes, this page has to get moved below first application. Big thing in Opt, right? You want to make sure you log in once every 13 days, or what happens? We get locked out. And we also added in big bold red, you don't have to pay for Opt, right? So if they read the handbook and they text you, you can refer back to them. Hey, did you see in the big red print? We said you don't have to do it, right? You can take it down, because we all get that question, right? Because Opt tries to force you to pay for their subscription. There's nothing we can do about that. Okay. So like things like that we're adding. So, and then walking them through their writing numbers, right? Again, why is this one important? Because these are the agent portals. That's great. They've got their writing number, but right, what happens when they go and it's like, I can't do a quote at America. Well, did you register? Well, no, right? Like, think about, right? Like, again, think about all the information we're throwing at people, right? So we're trying to like step by step through the process of, here it is and here's what you're doing, right? We updated the lead map, right? Because leads are different now, right? Symmetry and Qualities totally changed that. So the new lead maps updated, okay? Reminder that, hey, populates between 8 and 10, right? So, right, like this is when you got to get in, right? Like that's what it is now. And then it goes back into, hey, our game plan movies, what are we trying to do, right? But like we have a bunch of updates and it's going to reflect into Bitrix. All right. You guys have any questions on that? No? What's wrong with all of you? Why are you all like raw today? Why is
I have a
everybody like
question.
flat?
How long, I forgot, how long does it take for you to get your writing numbers? Like, it shouldn't be more than like a week or two, right? Or does it
It
just depend?
depends. So Foresters and Am come first, right? They're quick, okay? Horbridge is right behind them, okay? They're within a couple days. Within a week, you should have Banner, Mutual, Corbridge, them. The one that's taken forever right now, Transamerica right now is 15 to 20 business days. It's brutal, right? So there's nothing, we don't have any say, but within 5 to 7 business days. But why we want them doing that, right? So when they come in, right, and we have them in live mentor training and they start live dialing and they go and set their first appointment and they make their sale, we got them the win. And here's the other side of it. When they take out that first app, that is their first win. Celebrate the shit out of it, right? Celebrate them. Hey, you took out your first app. You're officially an agent, right? Like you helped protect someone, right? Like celebrate that, help encourage everyone, right? On doing that, right? Think about how good it feels when you're like, hey, I had a good day. You post like I crushed my dials today, or I hired someone, right? Like think about how good it feels for you when like someone just like gives you a high five in it or taps an emoji on it, right? The new agents, think about how good that feels to them when they don't even know anybody yet, right? Like that is who we are, right? We lift each other up, right? Like that is important and we care about that, right? Because what we want to make sure is, right, like we have people getting through here, but they're not there, right? Like, hey, what are they doing? Where are they going? Right? Like we're getting them stuck here, but they haven't took out the first app. They should be getting through here like pretty quickly through live mentor training. They should be, by the time live mentor training's done, they should be at least first lead order and then hopefully their first appointment, right, is right there. So they stay in first appointment until they get their first sale, like from a lead, right? Or, like even a referral, right? Like until you get that first sale, hey, it's there, right? But this is like, we're doing this very specifically because like we're working with other leaders to like see what they're doing at scale. So that side of it's important, right? Sometimes we got to do a little more nuts and bolts. Second item, action item for me. Frankly, not enough of you come and listen to me interview. I see who jumps on. I know who's come and listened. I see it, right? I hide the non-video participants, but I know who's in there, right? Guys, I've literally interviewed thousands and thousands and thousands of people in my life, and I knock these out in like 20 minutes. And you're all here because you believed in me. I'm pretty good at making a connection and like getting you going in like 20 minutes, right? Like we can all agree we're all here because Trevor sold you, right? Hey, like Trevor closed you to like talk you into like being his friend when you don't know him, right? Come learn how to do that, right? Like Anna talked about, it's totally changed the parser. We are recruiting, we are not hiring, okay? Right? Like, and then I want to give Kristen a shout out, something she's doing that I encourage the rest of you to do as well. She's been going in and like live dialing in a breakout room, so it's not interrupting everybody, and new agents can go listen. Now, here's the deal. When you're brand new, people are like, I need to listen. No, you don't need to go pick up the phone and dial. You ain't going to learn shit. However, it's also good to have, and I love that she's doing it. I didn't ask her to do it. She just went and did it, right? Like that's like, think about that's the example you're going to set for your team, right? Yes, you might be new, but yes, you know more than everybody else already. Okay. Right. Like it's little like you'd be surprised that now you know how to paint the fence and wax the car and sand the deck. Okay. So thank you for those that got that movie reference. Yes. Well done, I got it. So, but it's right, like it's that thing. But I love what like Kristen's doing, and I'm gonna promote it. Like, hey, you can go in there, right? Like, I wish I could be in the more. I got so many hours in a day, right? Like I wish I could like. Have you guys ever seen the movie Multiplicity with Michael Keaton? You guys know who that movie is? Where like they make the clones of themselves, right? It is a hysterical movie. There are days I wish I could just do that, right? But I would always want it to be the number 4 Steve, the copy of the copy. So that's, if you see that movie, I find that movie really, really funny. But yeah, like it's just remember, right? And then map out like an exercise I suggest for you guys, right? Like map out, like put this in the chat. Like, let's do this. Let's do this exercise. We got a couple minutes real quick. I want you guys to write in chat. I want you guys to write, if you could design like from scratch your perfect agent. Okay. Right? Like write in chat what qualities and attributes they would have. Right? What would be things you want to see in someone getting started? Right? Like what are things like if you can describe them, we can mold them, right? Right? Dedication, yep. Like that. Grit, yep, love grit. You gotta have some grit here. Agreed. Coachable, yep. Drive, self-motivated, passionate, yep. Coachable, agree. Encouraging, yep. Totally agree. Yep. Someone who shows up without my prompting, yep. Sticks to decisions they make. Are we being those things for our agents? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself if you're being those things for your agent. What's up? Right? Like all those things we think about, are we being that? Right? Like, are we being that for ourselves and for our agents? Right? Like, take that and like be the person you want to mentor, right? And you'll attract that.
So I kind of want to interrupt real quick and just remind you guys that Sarah made a great point on the call earlier this week, right? There's no fence keeping these puppies here.
Yep.
So what does that mean for us? Why are you guys here following Trevor? Because he's somebody that's worth following, right? And I made the comment earlier that if I give you a fish, then I feed you for a day. But if I teach you how to fish, which is what this call and what we're all doing here, right, is learning how do we fish for people. I'm not going to go without quoting the main man, Jesus, the best fisherman of all, who said, if you follow me, I will make you fishers of men, right? And there are qualities that we look for in a mentor that's exactly, actually, literally, my last question on my notes here was, are you being that person? So when me and Trevor say like we're very in tune, it's kind of freaky, but ask yourself, am I that person? If I was to show up, and you guys felt it, I'm sure, as soon as, for those of you that just started recruiting this last month, you feel that extra sense of pressure and responsibility because these people are looking up to you. They are depending on you to show them the way. Okay, you will hear us say it almost every Friday. We are not the kind of people to drop our kids off or let other people raise our kids, right? Like, we're here, we take responsibility, and we're going to raise them up to be responsible, functional, successful agents, right? So in order to do that, it also takes meeting them where they're at. None of us here is perfect, right? Well, Jesus doesn't want us to get to perfection before we come to him. And it's the same here. So I loved when Trevor had conversations with me in the beginning of when I was struggling with my time management, saying, hey, I don't know if mornings are really working for you. Or like Keith said, he came to Keith and said, hey, are you actually putting in the right time when you're dialing, right? So don't hesitate to ask yourself those questions, and also understand that while you're becoming a leader worth following, right? It's all about this personal growth. You're also training up leaders, okay? So we want to teach them. We're not going to give them all of the answers. Keith, we're picking on you today. We're not going to give you all the answers, right? But we're going to teach you how to fish, okay? I'm going to show you how to show up for yourself if they're not doing that already, right? So any questions or anything that you want to hit on before we hop off onto the Summers call?
I want to pick on Keith real quick about that because I think I want to know in a good way and really important. So, right, Keith and I have had this conversation. So, Keith, right, how does it feel now, right, now that you're seeing in your building, right? How much better does it feel that you might not know exactly where to go for everything, but how much better does it feel knowing that you've gone and found out this stuff, and so you know where it is and you know how to help? How much better does that feel?
It feels really good. And I knew, and within the first week or so, when I realized what you were doing, I told you, it's like, hey, I like this coaching style,
Right.
And I'm gonna try to do the same thing with people, that join our team. And I don't
Right.
know.
We want to make people system dependent, not individual dependent, right? Because we're going to go on vacation. We're going to do stuff with our families, right? Like I can't answer my phone. You can't answer your phone 24/7. We want people system dependent, right? And how are they system dependent? They're following the steps. They've gone through the handbook. They're using HQ. They're watching the videos. They're on office hours, right? The whole success leaves clues, right? And I want to end with this because I think it's a perfect spot. I want to be very clear about some of our success here. Okay. It would not be possible without my wife, without Misty, without Paula, without Moda, without Allison, right? Like without like the whole team and Mars now. Like really understand. Like I've taken our money and reinvested it back into that versus making any money because I know it's going to help us all scale there. But just it's there. And the thing I'm going to revert back to, and Misty's brought up, but what Sarah said, how many people can relate, right, to what Sarah said on the call when she said, I can smell development and leadership from across the country, right? Think about that, right? Think about knowing that. Make sure you're thinking about that for yourself, right? Do when agents look at you, when people look at you, know that maybe you don't have all the knowledge yet, but they can see the success patterns you're leaving in your life every day, that you are growing, that you are reading, that you are listening to books, right? That you are developing yourself to get to that next level. All right, Mama T. Mama T wants to finish up.
Hey, I just do want to just share though, like I'm so happy, I'm so proud of it. It's like we had this excitement when we left Orlando. We were super pumped meeting everybody, and like we believed in what we were doing. And I'm super proud of Trevor, Misty, Paula, everybody, all you guys, especially meeting all you guys in person. I do know like yesterday when he called me, he's like, hey, come see this. He like showed me, he's like, we did it. And I'm like, he's like, the team, we did it. And like just looking how close it was, he like let out this big old breath, like, oh my God. Like he goes, and now he like already he flipped the switch, like, all right, we're on the ground now. Now we gotta like just take off. Like we can't stop. Like he's like, we can't stop. So he's definitely shifting focus, and it couldn't be done without all of you guys here and bringing everybody in and like believing in the vision, believing in the building, believing in the production. Like you guys like trusted us, and like it's coming like full speed. And I see the growth in every single one of you. I watched Keith kind of be stubborn a little bit in the beginning and dragging his feet. And then now he's coming around while Netta, like, like kept referring back to the big months she had, but she was kind of slow in the beginning. But now she's like kind of like doing what she needs to do. We had a good conversation. Kristen, she's definitely made like a big turnaround. Like she's excited. Anna's excited. Like I had a few conversations with Anna and she's super excited. Heidi, like, production was low, but when she hit the building, she found her stride and gained that confidence. And Sandra too. Sandra has this bet looming with Jonathan Daly on her shoulder. So she's starting to work on that, which is great. And Brandy, with all the challenges, I still remember the conversation we had. You're like fighting. She's like, I got this year. I'm going to work hard. And now you got to do that. No longer in Tampa. You just got to now do it in the middle of your hometown. So all you guys, it's so great to see how everything's going and like everything's coming along. And I believe in every single one of you guys. And I'm so thankful that you guys are trusting Trevor, Misty, and the whole team. And it's so exciting to watch. So thank you all.
I love you guys. Thank you.
All right, let's go.
We're excited to.
Let's go enjoy kicking everybody else's base shop on the huddle call.
See y'all. Happy Friday. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Same.